Hello, my name is Xavier Hawkins from CSA Xenia. We are doing a podcast on early World War II American light tanks. Now let's go to Christian DeHart and Eli Egley for the info on some World War II American tanks from 1935 to 1945.
Hello, this is Eli Egley from CSA Xenia, and today I am talking about the M22 Locust light tank and how it was designed for the British Airborne during 1941. The M22 Locust had a 37mm cannon with one 30 cal LMG frontally mounted. It was powered by a Lycoming 0435T engine. It was also air-cooled with 165 horsepower. The goal of this tank was to be created by gliders or transport aircraft, yet still armed and armored enough to provide support. It only held 3 crew members as the driver, a gunner, and a commander who also served as the loader. Its hull armor was extremely thin, ranging from 9.5 to 12.5 millimeters, and the turret armor was around 25 millimeters, which made it penable to large calibers like the 50 cal. A total of 830 M22 Locust light tanks were produced by Merrimon Harrington from April 1943 to February 1944.
Hi, this is Christian DeHart again with the M2, one of the first mass-produced tanks of World War II for the Americans. The first prototype was made in 1935 with the T2E1. The next vehicle in this lineup was the M2A1 and the M2A2, as well as the M2A4. The M2A4 was the main service type along with the M2A2. Equipped with a 37mm cannon and 88mm of penetration with rolled homogeneous armor, which is a hot rolled steel used past the end of the war. Produced from 1935 to 1942, it was a stepping stone for future tanks in America's arsenal. Produced by Rhode Island Arsenal and ACF, it had less than 1,000 units produced across all of its models in the 7-year production run. The M3 was another version of the M2 that had a short 75mm cannon and a few extra millimeters of armor. The engine was a Continental R6709A, 7-cylinder radial gasoline engine producing 250 horsepower. This is Christian DeHart again, and we are talking about the LVT-1, which is one of the first unofficial medium tanks of World War II. With an M2A4 turret and a 37mm cannon, it was originally an amphibious crew transport, later turned into a tank, to assist the Marine landings in the Pacific. It originally only had 2 50 cal MGs. The armored version, early tank, had a stabilizer. Before seeing combat, the crew's experience was marked by mechanical unreliability in basic conditions, which made the LVT-1 a very unreliable weapon into the Pacific.
Hello, we are back here with DeHart and Egley. For the next part, this is going to be where we're debating about what was the best out of these 3 tanks back in the early war days.
Me personally, I like the M22 due to its nice small build, be able to take cover behind most objects, and being able to be
Continue. What about?
okay. The one thing about it though is that its armor is kind of weak, but it makes up for that in its speed and it being very small. Whose living conditions were quite satisfactory due to the gunner mostly being hunched, but they weren't really meant to be in the tank for too long. But the 50 cal and the 37mm made it quite good against enemy infantry, but not as well against enemy armored vehicles unless the M22 was able to get up to like the side, or it was like stealthy enough to not like have the enemy vehicle see it.
Yeah, it was mostly a scout vehicle.
Yeah.
For my tank, it was mostly a scout vehicle, the M22. For my tank that I liked out of these 3 was probably the LVT, considering it was basically the earliest medium tank of the war. It was an amphibious crew transport, so yes, even in its tank role, it could still fire from offshore. With two with 230 cals at the rear, with 230 cals at the rear and one frontal facing on the turret, with a powerful 37mm cannon that only had armor piercing. It had an armor piercing capped ballistic shell. Pacific, where Japanese tanks were pretty much nothing. Either an open top or lightly armored. It could easily penetrate or destroy any Japanese tank. Now we're going to go to our producer, Xavier. Just take a random guess. Which one do you think is better from the facts we've given you today?
I personally am going to guess it's the LVT L1. Truly, I have zero idea because I've never studied tanks, and I'm going to still guess the LTL1 because it sounds stronger, really, and tankier. That's my personal opinion. Xavier Hawkins.
This is Christian DeHart.
And this is Eli Egley.
Signing off. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast.